I don't want to hear it. I don't watch politics. So we're going to keep it light. All right? There we go. All right. Well, I just got over the flu, which is fantastic. You know what I mean? You know, just going through this Rolodex of people that coughed on you, sniffled near you, walked by an Asian or something. You try to fight it. You like, they say on the internet, that's where all the disease comes from. The whole flight, I'm sitting there looking at his dirty Jesus feet. And all I'm thinking is the next pandemic is growing in the bottom of his feet. And all I'm going to be is the next, patient number 2, whatever the next disease is,
Ever seen a comedian make MAGA fans squirm so bad they nearly peed their red hats? Bill Burr just destroyed Trump on live TV, and the reaction videos are spreading faster than conspiracy theories at a Thanksgiving dinner. MAGA Twitter is having a complete meltdown right now, with grown adults crying about a comedian making fun of their orange messiah. Meanwhile, Burr's sitting back laughing all the way to the bank as his clips rack up millions of views. Stick around to see exactly what he said that has Trump fans foaming at the mouth. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. When it comes to roasting the orange man, nobody does it quite like Bill Burr. While most comedians were busy tap dancing around Trump jokes, Burr went full flamethrower mode. "This guy's so orange, I saw seagulls trying to eat him on the beach thinking he was a giant Cheeto," Burr quipped during one of his specials, sending the audience into fits of laughter that quickly turned to gasps as he continued his assault. What makes Burr's Trump material so devastating isn't just the punchlines, it's how precisely he targets Trump's most sensitive spot, his massive, fragile ego. During his appearance on Conan, Burr compared Trump's complexion to a traffic cone that someone left out in the sun too long. The audience erupted, but Burr was just warming up. The man spends more time on his appearance than a teenage girl getting ready for prom, but somehow ends up looking like he fell face first into a vat of Doritos dust.
I'll be honest with you, I can't believe Trump didn't win this thing like 4 months ago. I know that's weird for younger people to hear, but when I was a kid, if you were running for president and you got shot and you didn't die, that was the end of the election. How about the real estate agent that speaks through her nose? Oh, there's a point. This is so difficult. It's like they overlap. I just can't make up my mind. There was nothing you could say, right? Everybody would just be like, this guy's the man. He is the king. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think the number one reason Trump survived is all those herky-jerky movements that he does.
Burr stands apart from other comedians who either avoided Trump material altogether or stuck to safe political jokes. While Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert crafted carefully worded criticisms, Burr bulldozed straight ahead with raw, unfiltered takedowns. You know what kills me? He's so concerned about looking young that he's got the hair of a 30-year-old, the skin color of a pumpkin, and the body of the Pillsbury Doughboy after a beach vacation. The genius of Burr's approach is how he connects Trump's cosmetic obsessions to deeper character flaws. During his Monday morning podcast, Burr ranted, "Any guy who spends that much time trying to convince you he's not orange clearly can't handle reality. It's the same reason he can't admit he lost the election, or that his hands aren't actually huge. The dude lives in a fantasy world where facts are whatever he wants them to be." Audience reactions to these brutal takedowns have been mixed, to say the least. At a show in Texas, Burr's Trump material reportedly caused several MAGA hat-wearing attendees to walk out, while others sat in stunned silence. At another performance, a woman was caught on video shouting, "That's our president!" before being drowned out by laughter from the rest of the crowd. The fallout online was even more chaotic. After one particularly savage set went viral, MAGA Twitter exploded with rage. One user tweeted, "Bill Burr used to be funny before he got all political. Another Hollywood sellout." This was especially ironic since Burr has built his entire career on offending everyone equally and refusing to conform to Hollywood expectations. The ultimate sign that Burr's jokes hit their mark. Trump himself took the bait. After Burr's Netflix special where he compared Trump to an aging beauty queen who can't accept that the pageant is over, Trump fired back on his social media platform. So-called comedian Bill Burr, who nobody has heard of, is failing in the ratings. Sad to see another career end because of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. This response came while Burr was literally selling out Madison Square Garden. What truly sets Burr's Trump comedy apart is how he uses the orange complexion as a gateway to deeper criticism. In one podcast episode, Burr mused, "If he'd just admit, yeah, I wear makeup, I dye my hair, I'm an old guy trying to look good on TV. People would respect that. But he can't. He has to pretend it's his natural skin tone, like we're all colorblind idiots. That's why he can't be trusted with anything important. A guy who lies about something everyone can see with their own eyes will lie about absolutely anything."
I don't know what I'm gonna do like that day. I'm just gonna be totally honest.
Are you?
I'm just gonna be, look, I got caught up in the lie that you're supposed to say as a parent. It's stupid. Chris Angel is doing everything that Jesus did other than pulling the fish out. He's walking on water too. You know? The whole thing is stupid. I don't really believe in much. Like, I don't believe in Santa Claus. I don't think Jesus.
You gonna tell the kids this?
Well, Jesus was like the first Chris Angel.
For MAGA supporters, these jokes aren't just offensive. They're devastating because they expose the uncomfortable truth about their leader's vanity. They can dismiss policy criticisms as partisan, but they can't explain away why their tough guy hero spends hours on hair and makeup to achieve that signature citrus glow. If Trump supporters thought Bill Burr's jokes about their orange hero were harsh, they nearly had collective heart attacks when his wife Naya Renee Hill decided to communicate her political views using just one finger. At UFC 295 in November 2023, while Trump was making his grand entrance at Madison Square Garden, the cameras caught Hill sitting next to her husband, casually raising her middle finger in Trump's direction. No words needed, just a simple gesture that instantly became more viral than any punchline Burr had ever delivered. The internet exploded faster than you can say Twitter meltdown. Conservative media personalities clutched their pearls so hard they nearly turned to diamonds. Fox News commentators who regularly celebrate crude insults toward Democratic politicians suddenly became champions of respect and decorum. "So disrespectful to a former president," they cried, apparently forgetting all the middle fingers they've happily given to politicians they don't like over the years. One MAGA supporter tweeted, "Bill Burr's wife should be ashamed of herself." Zero class. This coming from supporters of a man who mocked disabled reporters and bragged about grabbing women. The hypocrisy meter broke that day. Trump supporters who cheer when their hero calls people losers, dogs, and low IQ individuals suddenly demanded everyone treat him with presidential respect. They wanted Hill canceled, boycotted, and publicly shamed, all for a silent gesture that lasted less than 3 seconds. Meanwhile, Bill Burr did what any supportive husband would do. He defended his wife like a champ. On his Monday morning podcast, Burr proudly stated, "That's my wife. You know where you stand with her." No apologies, no backtracking, just a simple acknowledgement that speaking truth to power is apparently a family value in the Burr household. The backlash was as swift as it was predictable. The couple faced an avalanche of online harassment, with MAGA trolls hurling racist comments at Hill, who is black, and threatening the family. One particularly disturbed individual wrote, "Hope someone recognizes you and your anti-American wife in public." Nothing says "I love America" quite like threatening a comedian's family for exercising their First Amendment rights. The toxicity revealed exactly what happens when the MAGA bubble gets punctured. Instead of laughing it off, they go straight for intimidation. Hill's gesture wasn't just a random act of rudeness, it was a refusal to pretend that a controversial figure deserves automatic respect just because of his former title. For many Americans who felt silenced by the expectation to respect Trump regardless of his words or actions, that middle finger became an unexpected symbol of resistance. Hill didn't need a Netflix special or a podcast to make her point. She just needed one finger and the courage to use it while knowing cameras were rolling. The incident perfectly illustrated how comedy and protest share the same essential DNA, both challenge power and expose hypocrisy. While Burr uses words to point out the absurdity of powerful figures, his wife found an equally effective but more concise method. Her gesture accomplished what paragraphs of criticism sometimes can't. It cut through the noise and made people react. The fact that it triggered such outrage proved it hit its mark perfectly. As one supporter tweeted, "Nia Renee Hill giving Trump the finger is the energy we all need." The MAGA crowd's inability to handle criticism, whether it comes in the form of jokes or gestures, reveals their paper-thin skin. For a group that loves to mock snowflakes, they sure melt down quickly when someone directs even a fraction of their own tactics back at them.
As you were driving, you were cursing at people, at other drivers, and yelling at them from the car. Yes. Do you ever find yourself in a situation where they recognize you after you've yelled at them?
I think once you start calling somebody like that whole, "Oh my God, is that the guy from that show?" is out the window. And you just want to win the argument. Maybe when they drive away, they're like, "Hey, isn't that guy from Comedy Central?" I don't look at myself like that. I'm in my head, so I'm looking out, so I'm not seeing me. I'm just seeing what they're doing, and it just annoys me.
The middle finger incident showed that the same people who cheered when Trump insulted his critics can't handle even the mildest form of disrespect toward their leader. After watching MAGA meltdowns over a simple middle finger, Bill Burr apparently decided to aim higher. Instead of backing down, he turned his comedy flamethrower toward an even richer target with perhaps an even thinner skin, Elon Musk. The man who built his career saying what others won't decided the world's richest man needed the same brutal honesty he'd been dishing out to politicians. And listeners of NPR's Fresh Air nearly spilled their coffee when Burr called Musk both an idiot and evidently a Nazi. When host Terry Gross asked about Musk's handling of Twitter, now X, Burr didn't hesitate with his assessment. He described Musk as someone who bought a bullhorn company and then immediately started screaming into it, pointing out how the billionaire seemed more interested in pandering to far-right extremists than actually running a successful business. While most celebrities carefully tiptoe around criticizing the Tesla CEO, Burr charged in with the subtlety of a wrecking ball. What makes Burr's takedown of Musk particularly interesting is how it reveals the comedian isn't just going after one political side. He's targeting something more fundamental, the dangerous intersection of wealth, power, and unchecked ego. On his Monday morning podcast, Burr went even further, suggesting that billionaires should be put down like rabid dogs because they hoard extreme wealth, while regular people struggle to pay bills. At what point does one person need that much money? Burr asked his listeners. It's like watching somebody take all the slices of pizza while everyone else is starving. Burr pointed to specific evidence for his harsh criticism, noting how Musk reinstated accounts of known white supremacists while firing content moderators who kept hate speech in check. The guy's worth hundreds of billions, but can't figure out how to stop Nazis from posting on his site? Come on, Burr ranted. He also highlighted how Musk's increasingly bizarre right-wing posts seemed designed to court favor with extremists rather than improve his platform. The similarities between Trump and Musk didn't escape Burr's notice either. They're basically the same guy with different haircuts, he quipped on his podcast. Both of them spend their days obsessing over their social media mentions, both throw tantrums when criticized, and both think their money makes them experts on literally everything.
The guy is a lunatic. I mean, he literally got shot and immediately jumped back up and started yelling in the direction the bullets were coming from, unarmed. Just tell her she won. Tell her she won. But Trump's got all those weird, coming out. I think the guy couldn't get like a bead on him, That's not a sane human being. I would have been on the ground crying in the fetal position, like, all right, give me the truck. I don't want this job anymore.
The comparison struck a chord with audiences who had noticed the same pattern. Immense wealth creating a bubble where criticism never penetrates. When fans worried about potential backlash from attacking someone as powerful as Musk, Burr just laughed it off. What's he gonna do? Not let me buy a Tesla? I drive a Prius anyway. He joked during a stand-up set in Seattle. This fearlessness is precisely what has endeared Burr to fans across the political spectrum. He says what many think, but few dare express about the untouchable billionaire class. The reaction to Burr's Musk criticism revealed another parallel to the Trump commentary. Defenders immediately accused him of not understanding Musk's genius or being jealous of his success. Like clockwork, Musk supporters flooded comment sections with the same arguments used to defend Trump, proving Burr's point about billionaire worship. One particularly angry fan tweeted, "Bill Burr is just a failed comic who wishes he had 1% of Elon's brain," apparently unaware of Burr's massive success in comedy. What makes Burr's approach remarkable is how he cuts through the noise with simple truths. While media outlets dance around Musk's increasingly erratic behavior with euphemisms and careful phrasing, Burr simply calls it what it is. When Musk posted content supporting anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, mainstream outlets described it as controversial statements. Burr called it Nazi stuff, cutting through the euphemisms. Cutting through euphemisms isn't just Burr's signature style, it's become his political weapon. While other comedians carefully measure their words to avoid controversy, Burr has transformed from an angry Boston comic ranting about everyday annoyances into a truth teller whose jokes make headlines and trigger MAGA meltdowns. This evolution didn't happen overnight, but rather through a gradual realization that in our polarized landscape, simply naming reality has become a radical act. 10 years ago, Burr was known primarily for his hilarious takedowns of everyday irritations. Airport security lines, self-checkout machines, and relationship frustrations. His brand was built on being the angry everyman, not a political commentator. But as American politics grew increasingly absurd, Burr found it impossible to ignore the elephant, or should we say orange man, in the room. Unlike comedians who pivoted to solely political material, Burr maintained his authentic voice while simply expanding his targets to include the powerful. What separates Burr from the comedy pack is his willingness to risk financial success for honesty. While some big-name comics sign Netflix specials complaining they can't say anything anymore, Burr proves that's nonsense. He demonstrates the oldest rule in comedy still applies. You can say almost anything if you're both honest and funny enough to back it up. His authenticity has paradoxically expanded his audience rather than limiting it. For every outraged MAGA fan who storms out of his show, 2 new fans who appreciate his brutal honesty take their place. In comedy clubs, we're thinning the herd. Burr once joked about losing fans over his material. It's a beautiful thing. Comedy has always existed to challenge power, but many performers lost sight of this in the rush to land streaming deals and corporate sponsorships. Burr's commitment to punching up, rather than mocking marginalized groups, has made him strangely revolutionary in an era where too many comics confuse being offensive with being brave. When Burr takes shots at billionaires, politicians, or corporations, he's returning comedy to its countercultural roots. The backlash Burr receives reveals just how effective comedy can be as political commentary. His jokes about powerful figures trigger more defensive responses than serious policy critiques from political analysts. This happens because humor bypasses our intellectual defenses and hits emotional targets that reasoned arguments often miss. When Burr calls out hypocrisy with a punchline instead of a thesis statement, it sticks with audiences in ways that news reports cannot. His approach has inspired a new generation of comics to abandon the safety of false equivalence. Rather than the tired, both sides are equally bad routine that dominated comedy for years, younger comedians are following Burr's lead in taking principled stands, even at the cost of universal appeal. The idea that comedians should remain politically neutral to maximize their audience is dying, replaced by the understanding that in divided times, even jokes are political acts. This transformation raises the question, what responsibility do comedians have in our fractured political landscape? For Burr, the answer seems clear. Telling the truth as he sees it is more important than pleasing everyone. He understands that avoiding controversial topics isn't neutrality. It's actually taking the side of whoever benefits from silence. whether attacking Trump's vanity, Musk's platform decisions, or highlighting the absurdity of billionaires existing while people struggle to afford healthcare. Burr uses humor to challenge systems most comics are afraid to touch. So here's the deal, folks. Bill Burr isn't just some comic trying to sell tickets. He's showing us what comedy is supposed to be: uncomfortable, honest, and yeah, sometimes it pisses people off. That's the whole point. When Burr calls out Trump's ridiculous vanity or Musk's Nazi-friendly platform decisions, he's doing something important. He's reminding us that in a healthy democracy, nobody gets special treatment. Not ex-presidents, not billionaires, nobody. The next time someone says relax, it's just a joke, remember that throughout history it's often been the comedians who tell us the truths nobody else will.